All right, so I got to admit I'm pretty surprised by Ole Miss. Ole Miss is becoming that team that I know that they went 10-2 a couple of years, but now they're trying to get on the level of the Alabama. Now they're trying to take that next step to actually get to Atlanta, to get to an SEC championship and compete for that national championship. Jackson Dart is going to be back for his first season, I believe. Haven't heard anything about draft with him. I think it would be smart for him to come back. But Prince Humanalen, I'm sure I said that completely correct. I think that he is from Texas originally. I think his brother might be Prince Will, who plays at Nebraska. 7 sacks this year for Prince. All right. So, overall, man, he's a big transfer portal. He's a big guy in the transfer portal. He's played since 2020, has a lot of years of experience. He's an edge rusher. So if Pete Golding is going to have this defense rolling, they also got Chris Paul from Arkansas, a linebacker, very highly thought of as well. And now they're in it for Walter Nolen, the number one player in the transfer portal. They're battling with Oregon. They're battling with the big guys for the transfer portal. And I got to admit, like Lane Kiffin and just the alliance that you're seeing in Oxford just happens to be different. The boosters, the support in Oxford, Mississippi right now is on another level. I mean, the amount of transfer portal buzz that you're getting at Ole Miss. I mean, last year you get Walker Howard, you get Spencer Sanders. It might have been brilliant, actually, for Lane Kiffin a couple of years ago to say that I'm going to Auburn, that I want to go to Auburn because they can actually win games. And maybe that was all just a ploy just to get Ole Miss. Maybe that was a ploy just to get Ole Miss to kind of, step up their NIL game. So when we look at the Big Ten, when we look at the SEC West this year, it wasn't the best West because you had LSU, and that was a really good win by Ole Miss, a shootout there. You had Arkansas, who was really down. Mississippi State fired their coach. All right, so the Egg Bowl didn't even mean like as much this year. A&M fired their coach. So you've had some vacancies in this SEC West with Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Then at LSU, they couldn't find a cornerback, so their defense was historically bad. And LSU lost to Florida State, and LSU almost lost to Missouri this year. So LSU had the Heisman Trophy winner, so I will admit it is a pretty good win. But LSU, it's the worst defense they've had in about, that I can ever remember them having in like 25 years. I mean, the defense was horrendous. So I mentioned Arkansas with Sam Pittman, very disappointing, not making a bowl game, losing, 5 and 7 years, squarely on the hot seat, Sam Pittman. All right. Mississippi State, I talked about. Texas A&M also spoke about. So Alabama was your team in the West that was really out there competing. And they got Alabama early when Jalen Milroe really wasn't finding his stride. They were up on Alabama. They had that chance to really beat Alabama 2 years in a row. They had chances to beat Alabama. They haven't landed that knockout blow. Then they went to Georgia. Huge game in Athens, okay? Georgia, Ole Miss. Ole Miss with a chance to compete for the college football playoff, to compete for Atlanta. And Ole Miss, Georgia just hammers Ole Miss. It's not even close. So there's still a difference between the upper echelon and Ole Miss. There still is that gap there. But I will give Lane Kiffin credit in that he stayed loyal to Ole Miss and that he's building this program. And for the first time really ever, Lane Kiffin is kind of being where his feet are, and Lane Kiffin's actually building a program now at Ole Miss. And finally, Lane is staying patient. He has an SEC job, and the booster support is just incredible at Ole Miss right now. I mean, the fact that you're competing for Walter Nolen and Prince right now, and you already were able to get like a safety from Indiana, you're able to get Chris Paul from Arkansas, it shows that your NIL program, it shows that your facilities, it shows that everything is running on full tilt if you're Ole Miss. And Lane Kiffin does have something to sell to the boosters in that, hey, listen, I've won 10 games in 2 years. I got a quarterback that's an NFL quarterback. I got a run scheme that's really good. I got really good offense. When we get defense, when we put the final pieces together, we're going to be able to go out there and beat Georgia and beat Alabama and maybe go 11-1. So Ole Miss, the wide receivers that they have at Ole Miss are very highly acclaimed players. They have solid quarterback depth. They just need guys on the defensive line. So, man, oh, man, I'll give them credit. Now, we'll see if Walter Nolen, what he does. I mean, Oregon's going to put in a big push for him, but Prince, human name. Prince is favored to go to Oxford as well. So, Ole Miss making a push to be a national title contender with the recruits that they're out here getting. And you thought that when Lane Kiffin wanted that Auburn job, you thought that Auburn just had more horsepower than an Ole Miss. He thought Ole Miss is like a good 8-4, 7-5, your occasional 10-win job. What Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss has just been exceptional. Just been really incredible. He's done a tremendous job, and now Lane's going to try to get them to that next level. So Lane Kiffin, if I were to look up his record at Ole Miss, believe he's won 10 games in 2 years. Yeah. I mean, 2021 won 10 games. Last year was 8-5, but won 10 games in 2023. So has actually been there, if you include the 2020 season, he has been there for 4 seasons at Ole Miss. And now they're trying to get to that 11-win threshold, and they're doing a good job. They're knocking on the door. He's taking the program, and are you leaving it in a better spot than where you found it? Are you elevating the program? He's elevating it right now.